Hope. What would life be without hope? Without the belief, the confidence, the reassurance that no matter what happens in your life, there's always hope for a better future, to correct things, even if they were broken. Hope. But what lies behind it? Why are we so sure? Why are we so hopeful as human beings? Is it something that we just need to believe in, even without any rational basis? Is it just wishful thinking, as some cynics or skeptics may argue? Or is there something more behind it? And how do you cultivate it? How can you make it stronger in your life? Especially at times where we sometimes find a situation that seems or can seem to some hopeless. How do you find hope in dire circumstances? These are very vital questions in life because this really gives us the ability to get through all challenges when you have hope. So please join me in this discussion. Hope. Your song never stops singing. Hi, this is Simon Jacobson, and we'll be speaking about hope. Your song never stops singing. This program is dedicated in honor of Nancy Temkin, with gratitude and warm wishes in celebration of her recent birthday. The very word hope gives us hope. What would life be if we didn't have hope? Obviously, in a complete hypothetical, if everything was perfect, then you could say, hey, you don't even need hope. Everything is just working. But we all know life doesn't work that way. In life, we're going to go through ups and downs, successes and failures, and sometimes difficult failures, setbacks, losses, tragedies, traumas. And yet hope springs eternal. There's something in the human spirit that allows us to forge ahead, that drives us, that motivates us, that gives us a sense that even when things are difficult, we can get through it, and sometimes even become stronger in the process. So is this based on anything, or is it just humans simply needed to just survive? Because it would just be the existential loneliness, the existential hopelessness would just be too much for us. So we create, as some cynics or skeptics may say, an illusion, wishful thinking. Because, as they would argue, there are times you could have all the hope in the world and it doesn't always work out. But I think all of us would like to believe that there's more to it than just some type of fantasy or an illusion, that it comes from something that has basis, a true foundational basis. It's just like you can say about love. Love, you can also say, is some type of man-made illusion. But the fact is, when you feel love, you know it's there. And you know how important it is in life to be loved and to love. And the same thing with hope. So what is that basis? What does it come from? Where does it originate from? And are there people that have more of it than others? And can you do anything to cultivate it? That would be the big question. Because if you could, that would really give us the ability to get through anything. Because remember, in life, And we will have setbacks. We will have situations that don't work out exactly as we planned them. And it's hope that gives us the ability to forge ahead and move forward, even in difficult circumstances. So if we can cultivate that, that can really give us the strength to get through any situation. Because it's not just what challenges you have in life, it's what you believe is possible, the possibilities. And you actually look in life and you see some, maybe all the greatest innovations in history came because there was some form of hope. Because there's no question that people first fail before they succeed. They experiment. I just think about every time we fly in a plane, and I think about the Wright brothers. How many failures, how many failed experiments did they have to go through before they finally got something in the air flying? How many detractors, how many people telling them, no way you can do this? You can have a flying ship, defying gravity? We're not birds. And yet they persisted. There had to be some type of power within them that said, no matter what, we can do it. Why did they not give up? And you have thousands of such instances in so many different ways, some more public than others. You have private stories, personal stories of a mother whose doctors all but gave up hope on an autistic child. You'll never have a relationship with this child. It's just not possible. And the mother would not give up. She wanted to connect. Not that the child became no longer autistic, but doctors will admit something is there. What was it that kept her going? And how it affected that you can break through, and sometimes the impossible is possible. Now, we should never need to go through really difficult situations to get to that hope, but it sure can be a tremendous asset in any given situation. You start a new business, you start a new relationship, you move. I mean, there's so many areas in life, the different junctures of our lives, of our journeys, where hope is such a critical piece. So if we can find a formula to cultivate it, by understanding where it comes from and what you can do to nurture it, to build it, that would be priceless. So, of course, this takes us always back to the soul. You know, I don't want to sound morbid, but a body without a soul is a corpse. There's no hope, there's no pain, there's no love, there's no feelings altogether, there's no sensations. It is the soul that brings things alive, makes you alive. And not just alive biologically. Also, the idea of optimism, confidence, and yes, hope. So it clearly comes from the spirit of the human being. And when you say when a person is spirited, you know, given any given situation, some people will just always be there and say, we will get through it. There are always going to be people who say we can do it, and there'll be those that say we can. It's coming from a spirit within. But let's take it even further. What does that spirit consist of? And why is it so confident and sure? Because you see, the spirit is driven by a different type of energy. And it is informed by different, if you wish, facts than we'd call the body. The material world and material life is really, if you think about it, everything in matter is static. Matter does not move. Even though, in truth, every object in existence, even inanimate things, are actually pulsating with energy. And today we know there's no such thing as things that are just static. You may not see it, but everything is pulsating. Everything is in flux. There's an energy that flows through the subatomic particles of everything in existence. And yet, there is the material surface that does appear to be, you want to call it monotonous, you want to call it dead, inanimate. There's that element. And then you can see, even with your eyes, someone that comes alive, and you just see that they're fully alive. As I mentioned, a body without a soul, yes, it does have energy within it, and it has subatomic particles, and it has everything that is pulsating within, but it's concealed from our sensory experiences. A spirited person, you see someone dances, sings, someone just in general, cheerful, has a vivacity, a dynamic vitality about them. So though everything has that energy, some of it's more obvious than others. The spirit and soul is defined by that type of energy. When someone says, I feel dead inside, like a zombie, yes, they have a soul, but it's not being expressed. Think of it like a pilot flame, but it's not being fanned, it's not being expressed, it's not being manifest. A spirited person is that the spirit is alive. And you can see it. You see it in the sparkle in the eye. You can see it in the brisk walk, the confidence, the drive. So that's one thing about the spirit, that it's filled with energy. Energy, by definition, means that we're not stuck, that we're not stagnating, that we're not paralyzed. We're always moving ahead. And we know things are always moving. As I said, in truth, all of existence is that way. But it's the free spirit, it's the open, revealed spirit. That's why indeed the soul is compared to a flame. It says the flame of God, the lamp of God, the candle of God is the soul of a human being. Just like a flame is always flickering, constantly moving, defying gravity, licking the air, reaching upward, transcendent. So too the soul is fundamentally a transcendent entity that is never satisfied with the status quo, to just remain grounded, to remain static. It's always moving. But it goes even deeper than that. In the mystical and the Kabbalistic teachings, it tells us that song goes hand in hand and synonymous with spirit, with soul. And song too. When you hear a song, what is a song? It's always moving, and it makes you move. You beat. You go to its beat. You tap your feet. You clap your hands. There's something about the rhythm of song that brings out the rhythm within each one of us. Can lead you to dance, definitely lifts your spirits, can transport you to another time and place. All language of movement. And indeed, the Kabbalists teach us that every one of us has a song within us. More than one song. And that song is unique to you. And that song is always looking and seeking to sing. A song that never stops singing. So you'll say, 1 second, so why don't I feel it? Because the song is trapped sometimes within the body, within our physical lives, within our routines, which tend to dampen and to slow down. Just like as a person gets older, the spirit is always alive, but the physical body gets worn down and drained, and we are not always able to access that energy within. So the soul is a form of energy, of movement. Movements, that's what song is about. Music, movement. And it's singing within you. However, as I said, life takes over. Our routines, our habits, the expectations, the demands that can wear us down, a burden upon us. So the song gets lost in the shuffle. Think of subtle strings of a violin amidst the sounds of the rush hours around us, the turbulence. You won't hear the song. It'll get drowned out by the extracurricular loud noises around us. This is very much part of what life is about. Life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans, and you don't even notice. You don't stop to smell the roses because you're so preoccupied with the pressures around you, in your mind, that you've started to prioritize, where the means become more important than the end. So it's about really reaccessing and reclaiming the song within us. I often quote the tragic poem by Oliver Wendell Holmes called The Voiceless. Alas, to those that, paraphrasing it a bit, alas to those that die with their song still inside them. So we have that song waiting to be sung. Growing up in a healthy, nurturing home, your parents, your siblings, your family, your environment will encourage, will help you build the security, the confidence, and the validation needed for you to sing your voice, not someone else's. In a family where there is dysfunctionality or an unhealthy balance, control, and other insecurities, often won't let you sing your song or will convince you to sing their song. Or many people who don't sing don't want others to sing as well. Misery loves company. And then they try to convince you that it's not misery, that you're happy. And if you think of your life, your narrative, what's your story? Are you able to sing easily and sing your song? Do you feel it's coming from within, it's resonating? Because that's really what life is about. And that's where hope comes from. So it's not just some nice psychological trick that we play on ourselves and on others. It comes from a very fundamental place, that you deserve the best, that you have within you all the resources you need to find your calling, your mission, your happiness. You have all the songs you need. And the song does never stop singing. It's constantly there within you. You may not hear it. You may not even know it's being sung, but it's still there. Which makes it so powerful, because it means you don't have to go find it elsewhere. It's about uncovering it. Uncovering the, as we said earlier, the surface level obstacles that don't allow that song to emerge. I always loved Michelangelo's way of putting it when they asked him how does he sculpt those beautiful angels in the marble, and he responded, I see the angels trapped in the marble, and I carved and set them free. It's exactly the same. We all have that angel. We have that beauty, the song, the flower within. But you have to it's sometimes trapped in marble or in concrete or in other substances. Everyone can fill in the blanks. And what we need to do is carve. Not go find it elsewhere. To carve. Carve away the excess. Define what are your priorities in life. Don't allow the secondary elements, the means, survival to get in the way of not allowing yourself to access the angel, the song within. And as soon as you do that, that automatically brings you hope. So it's not about going to some hope conference or some seminar or even reading a book. There are definitely books and there are definitely classes that can help you. But the real goal of them all is not to give you hope, but to uncover your hope. Allow you to access those energies that naturally give you hope. Because when they start flowing, think of it like well springs. Once you dug up, the well is flowing, automatically everything changes because you see the fresh air, you see the new perspectives. Whereas when it's trapped, you don't see it. So the hope is not apparent. So hope is a direct outgrowth of that free human spirit, the transcendent spirit, the flame, the song, that connection to that which is beyond the mortal, beyond the routines, beyond the patterns, beyond even the comfort zones that so much define and actually limit our ability to spread our wings. So it's not about going to find hope. It's finding yourself, finding your soul, finding its song. Sing your song and you'll be hopeful. And actually that's what music does. Often, if we're in a bad mood or things aren't going that well, or you don't really feel that you're getting anywhere, play a song that is a favorite song, and you'll see what it does. It often ignites some part of your spirit. Look, there's obviously times when we're really down, and even that may not always work. But you have to do something to jog, to shake you up, to get that spirit alive, to get the spirit kicking again. Not to create it, but to ignite it. An existing song within you. And knowing all the time that no matter what the song is singing, your calling is beckoning. Is beckoning to you to sing, to express, to make your unique mark in this world. One that only you and only you can make. That's what creates hope. So the Spirit is essentially and hope are one and the same. Access the Spirit, allow it to speak, to sing, and you have hope flowing. It allows you to rise above the immediate obstacles that seem to be impeding your way, and even create the illusion that you can't make it happen, and gives you that extra kick, that extra push that you can. It's just about you really recognizing that you have that within you. And each one of us has to find those triggers that can help spark those well springs, those songs, the flower, the fire, the flame. Use many different analogies. You have to find what works for you, what resonates, what works. For many, yes, song. For others, it could be going out for a walk, exercising, meeting a friend, finding love in your life, appreciating your friends, appreciating others, showing gratitude. I mean, the list goes on. These are all tools, all instruments that allow you to access that spirit. And when you do, as I said, the hope flows. So when someone is down and they feel it's a hopeless situation, or maybe not entirely hopeless, but they don't feel positive. So yeah, you can wallow in it. And it's often it'll just create a vicious cycle, like a whirlpool that just gets more difficult and more difficult. Or you can do something to counter it, introduce something different, a different perspective. Yes, play a song. Get out of your routine. Don't stay stuck in that depressed place. Move. Physically, spiritually, psychologically, emotionally. Just do anything to shake you out of the reverie, to shake you out, to get you out of that broken record, out of that groove, if you wish. Because once you do that, the movements begin, the songs begin, and the hope flows. I know it's not always that easy, because when you're trapped in it, it's easy to talk about it when you're not, but when you're trapped in it, it seems to keep you in its tentacles, clutched in its tentacles, and you feel no way out. That's why we need others, we need friends, we need a support system, we need things to lean on. It could be a book to read, it could be a puzzle to do, it can be a hobby, it can be a friend, it can be music, art, anything that lifts you out of that place and in turn wakes up the inner spirit that's always waiting to sing. So it's time to start singing, my friends. It's a good sign. It's a sign that something is active. Something is egging you on. There's something alive within you. That's what we need to always feel, that life. When you wake up in the morning, a certain enthusiasm, excitement, taking on the day, seize the day, carpe diem. End of the day, as you do an accounting of the day, to have some things that you've accomplished that day, you feel I've contributed, I've helped someone, I've shown kindness, I made a little change. Doesn't have to be big. These things are what feed that soul, that feed the songs, that feed that positivity, that allows us the hope to get through anything in life. And the more you build it, the more you gather resources. You're essentially building a war chest, a reservoir that you can hold especially when times when it's needed, you can dig into it and access these energies. And again, it's something all of us have. When you think about it, it's such a beautiful idea, because it means no matter what, you have this spirit, this lively, this energized, this passionate, fiery spirit within you. Now it's time to access it. Thank you. This has been Simon Jacobson. MeaningfulLife.com is our website, our repository for much content of all varieties, covering the spectrum of life. Check it out. Subscribe to our offerings, to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please share with others. And let's hear your comments. Love to hear your comments and feedback. Check also out simonjacobson.ai, which is essentially going to be integrated into our website. Essentially an AI version where instead of you having to find something, you can just ask what you want, either by voice or by chat, and get a response that's customized to your needs. So essentially be your user-generated journey into finding a more meaningful life. Thank you again. Be well and be blessed.
This program is brought to you by the Meaningful Life Center. Please help us continue our programs. Make even a small contribution at meaningfullife.com/donate. This program is brought to you by the Meaningful Life Center. Please help us continue our programs. Make even a small contribution at meaningfullife.com/donate.